We're Kieran and Sara, and welcome to our channel. 2 years ago, we bought a farm in the forest of Norway, and since then, we've been working hard towards our dream, to become more self-sufficient. We sow seeds, build infrastructure out of secondhand materials, and learn useful skills like foraging and preservation methods. All with the end goal of feeling more empowered. Subscribe and follow along on our journey. Hi and welcome back to our channel. Today I thought I would take you with me as I start to plan our garden for the upcoming season. It's still quite early, it's the end of January, but seedling season is just around the corner. So I want to let my mind start thinking about how to plan the upcoming season. Because this year is the first year where we have all the vegetable beds ready, so I know exactly how much space I have. Last year I operated with actual space and ideal space because at the beginning of the season we just had the mandala circle, but I knew that at some point we would have anywhere between 2 to 20 new beds, so it's quite hard to plan. Yeah, so this plan is going to change over again, but I think it's good to start planning so we can have a really productive growing season. So this is our third growing season and we did really well last year. We really leveled up from our first ever growing season. And vegetables like broccoli, cabbage, beets, and cucumbers did really well. The problem last year was mostly that I started way too early with sowing seeds and we ended up with seedlings all over our kitchen table, our guest bedroom floor, the desk, and the living room floor. And it was just such a hassle moving all of these seedlings around. And when I did plant the seedlings out, they were planted way too close together because we didn't have all the beds and I have a really hard time throwing away seedlings. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna change that this year. So a little bit about where we are and what kind of climate we live in. We're in Norway at 180 meters above sea level. We're in hardiness zone 6 on the American scale and climate zone 4 on the Norwegian scale. Our last frost is around 17th of May and our first frost is around mid-September. And we're growing food to become as self-sufficient as possible, but our growing season is very short. So our aim will never be to be 100% self-sufficient, like we'll never grow our own grains or make our own oil or anything like that. But we're going to try and grow as much food as possible. The reason we're growing our own food is because we want to have more control over where our food comes from, what is in it, how it's grown, and the plastic packaging that comes with it. And we want to become more resilient and be able to take care of our basic needs ourselves. I bought most of my seeds already, and I also have a lot of seeds left over from last year because I got a little bit overboard with seed shopping. I did a bit of research for this video, and one tip I picked up from Huw Richards here on YouTube is that it's smart to pick 10 to 12 crops and focus on them and allocate about 50% of the space in the garden to them. And for us, those crops are carrots, pumpkins, beans and peas, salad, cabbage, tomatoes, broccoli, potatoes, cucumber, onion, garlic, leek, and squash. And that might be a little bit more than 10 to 12, but I can really choose. They're all staples in our diet and it's something that we eat almost every day, and I would be generally sad if these crops didn't go well in the garden, so that's what I'm gonna focus most of my energy and time on. Because what I've been doing before is allocating way too much space and time to vegetables that we don't really eat, like kohlrabi and celery. Not that I'm not gonna have them in the garden at all, I am, but they don't need a full bed like I've done before. So let's start this video with alliums, which is onions and garlics and stuff. We have planted already 1 or 2 beds with onion in the fall, so they should pop up really early. And we also planted 1 bed with garlic. Last year I tried growing onion from seed and it just went terrible. Most of them died and I tried several times. So I thought it would just be easier to buy little onion bulbs and put them in the soil in the fall. I do have a couple of seeds, just like normal yellow and the red onion. It's just gonna be more of an experiment to see if I can do it than actually relying on this turning out well. So the only crops in the allium family that I'm gonna rely on sowing from seeds are leek and spring onion. And I think that's gonna turn out good. It turned out pretty well last year. For some reason, it wasn't as hard as sowing onion from seed. So I'm optimistic about this stuff. And then we have beets. I just have all of them in the same bag. It's long beets, it's polka beets, it's normal red round beets. I don't really care about the difference in the beet family. I just have them all together. Last year I grew so many beets and like half of them ended up just being in the ground at the end of the year and just going to the deer. We definitely eat beet, but I'm not gonna sow as much as I did before. And then we have turnip, which is also something that we don't really eat, but I also keep planting. I don't know why. I'm just gonna plant a few. Radishes, they bolt so easily here in summer. So last year I kept planting them, but this year I'm just gonna sow them in the spring and autumn. And here we have all types of radishes, white, pink, red, some yellows. But radishes is a fun crop because they pop up so early and they also pop up so fast. Then we have carrots. Carrots is a huge staple crop for us. We eat a lot of it and it's also a good vegetable to sell. And here I am going for a summer and winter carrots like I did last year. Summer carrots grow really fast and you eat them all through summer, and then the winter carrots you can leave them in the ground during winter and pick from your garden through winter, or you could just leave it in the ground while it freezes and then get them in the spring when it thaws. And we've done both. We have almost 2 vegetable boxes full of carrots that are just left over winter, so it's going to be really exciting to see how they did. But I also keep all of my carrot seeds just all together. We have white, yellow, orange, purple with orange core, yellow with white core in here. They're all so beautiful and I'm really excited to grow carrots. We had a problem with gophers last year, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna put carrots in the Mandela garden. I might try one bed. If not, I'll grow them in vegetable boxes on a ground where the gopher isn't able to dig through. Because it really sucked pulling up so many carrots, and they looked amazing from the top, and then they were like this short because the gopher had eaten all of it. Then we have some other root vegetables that aren't important to us, but I'm still gonna grow them, as parsnip and something called blackroot in the region and oatroot in the region. I like them because you can leave them in the ground after freezing temperatures and just pick from the garden, and it really extends your growing season. And that's a huge thing for us here, you know, living in Norway. The growing season is so short, like you need to focus on season extension. So root vegetables like this is really important. Then we have all of our tomatoes. Last year, I think I planted probably like 400 tomato plants. It was mostly because we had some really old seeds and I never thought that all of them would germinate, but most of them did, and I just had so many tomato seedlings. Planted them out way too early because we were overcrowded in here. Half of them died. It wasn't a great tomato year last year because of my errors, but also the summer wasn't that warm. It was more of a cool summer. And what I did wrong last year as well was not focus on like what kind of space do we have for tomatoes. And I planted a lot of climbing tomatoes and don't really have space for that. So this year I'm focusing on bush tomatoes that I can plant in the garden beds. And I'm really excited. We have so many cool ones. Stripes of Yore, Ceylon, Moonglow, Tartufo, Orange Dream, Mohammed, all of them bush tomatoes. And I'm focusing on either tomatoes that are nice to eat raw in salads and stuff, or tomatoes that are nice to use for tomato sauce. I also have 2 chili peppers, Aurora and Bishop's Crown. And those I'm gonna put in the greenhouse. We don't eat a lot of chili peppers, but it's nice to have some. And it's nice for drying. Then we have our pumpkins, which is my favorite crop to grow. We harvested over 100 pumpkins last year. We did so well, it was so much fun. And we still have our basement full of pumpkins. It's a really good staple. They keep for a long time and the birds also love them. So we're still gonna grow a lot of different varieties, but I am gonna keep in mind to plant more of the ones that are really nice to eat. Like for example, pie pumpkins like Baby Bear or New England Pie, really nice pumpkins to eat. Buttercup is also a great pumpkin to eat, along with red curry and buchiki curry. And then we have pumpkins more for decorations that aren't that great to eat. It's more of they have more of a summer squash taste to them. Like it doesn't really taste that much, it's more watery. We have pumpkins like jack-o'-lantern and pumpfucks, which are those big orange ones. And then I have pumpkins that I'm growing more for decorations, like Dils Atlantic, that big one that we harvested last year, Marina di Chioggia, which is also a good eating pumpkin. They're quite big. Black Cat, which is black, and also gourds that are great for decorations. They're not edible, but they're super cute. But they come in all different sizes and shapes and colors. Yeah, so growing lots of pumpkins, but I'm gonna be a little bit more realistic about what we actually eat. And then we have our beans and peas. It's not a hugely exciting category for me. We're growing some pink beans and some purple beans like we've been growing the last years. They've been doing really well here. Last year I started growing broad beans and they did quite well actually. I'm gonna try and grow quite a lot of that. It's not a staple in a diet, but I do think I wanna try and incorporate it more. I've just never seen broad beans in the store and it's just not something I'm used to eating. But we can change. And then we have a bunch of peas that are really good for cold climates, so I'm gonna start growing them quite early. They did quite well last year. Beans and peas are also really good to blanch and then freeze, so we have a bunch of bags of those in the freezer. And then we have our squashes, summer squashes. Quite excited about those. They just always do really well. It's a great food for chickens. They grow really fast, way too fast for us to eat them all. And then we have our cucumbers. I'm really excited about cucumbers this year. I'm gonna put more energy into them. They're gonna get more space and just better conditions all together. I'm gonna grow them up against the fence of the Mandela garden. So we have two types. One type for eating raw and one type for pickling. And then also I'm gonna try and grow lofa again, which failed last year. Lofa, you can use them as sponges when you dry them. And then I'm just gonna focus on one corn this year, which is Ashworth. It's a sugar corn, sweet corn. Then we have our greens. We have Swiss chard. I keep growing so much Swiss chard and we don't really eat it, so I'm not gonna allocate that much space to it this year. It's a good chicken food, but still I'm just growing way too much of it. I do want to grow a lot more spinach this year, although spinach is something that bolts, so it's going to be a spring and autumn crop. And then we have all of our salads. Not the most exciting category for me, but it is something that we eat a lot of, so it needs to be in the garden. And then we have one of my favorite categories, brassicas. I love to ferment, so I need a lot of cabbages. So I have one green cabbage here and one purple cabbage here, both are for storage. I don't think I'm gonna grow a ton of varieties. Doesn't really matter, I just need something I can ferment. Also have some pointy cabbage. And then we have our leafy kales. We have a red green kale, we call it palm kale. Need a lot of those. And then one of the crops that I'm most excited about, just because they went so well last year, is just broccoli. They turn out so well, and that was my first year growing them. So I have a couple of different varieties of broccoli. And then we have cauliflower, which kinda failed last year. We got a few more cauliflower than what we showed in our videos, but it was late in the season and they were quite a surprise. We didn't see that they'd grown at all, and some of them were a little bit moldy because they'd been out in the rain. Cauliflower is a bit of a difficult crop to grow. It's not like the rest of the brassicas that are really tough. They can't be too long in their pots. It can't be too hot, too cold. They need perfect amount of water. So yeah, it didn't go that well last year because I kind of neglected them. But I do want to try again this year and give them a little bit more energy. So I have one here, a white cauliflower called Nectar Pearl, and one purple one called Di Sicilia Bialetto. Really excited about them. The one purple cauliflower we got last year, which is the most beautiful cauliflower I've ever seen. So we're gonna try that again. And then we have some not important crops, but I'll still grow a little bit of them, which is kohlrabi, a purple kohlrabi called Asustar, and super schmelz. They're fun, they're beautiful, but it's not something that we eat a lot of. And then we have Brussels sprouts. I am gonna grow quite a lot of Brussels sprouts. They turn out really well. And then we have some more greens. We have some pak choi, Catalonia salad, asparagus salad, Chinese cabbage, celery, fennel, and artichoke. None of these I'm gonna grow a lot of or put too much energy into. I am gonna grow them, but like I said before, they're not a staple in our diet, so I don't really see the point in trying to grow heaps of them. And then we have our flowers. I mentioned last year that I was gonna spend more time growing flowers this year, and I've been knee-deep into research about specialist pollinators and cut flowers and everything in between. And I've over 40 types of flowers in an online basket right now, and I'm gonna have to narrow it down. I feel like I'm gonna give myself a limit of 15 max because we just don't have the space to grow all these flowers. But I found a new passion. I've never really been that into flowers before, but now that I've found a use for them, not just sitting there being beautiful, although that is very nice, I find it more exciting. Like, I find it exciting to find the ones that can be used for medicinal purposes or for teas, or that attract specialist pollinators. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this research process. I am gonna grow a lot of echinacea. I have so many. I bought some myself at a sale in the fall because all seeds were 70% off, and then I've been gifted quite a few bags. So I got some Sahara echinacea, beautiful, rustic dwarf, Cheyenne spirits, Cherokee sunsets. Can't wait to put those in the garden. And then I'm also gonna grow a lot of calendula. I have an orange variety and a white variety called Snow Princess. We got some asters, we got some zinnias, tagetes, got an atlas flower called Whitney, super beautiful, chrysanthemum. So I'm gonna allocate quite a few beds to flowers, and I am also focusing on creating meadows this year. Last year was a little bit scary almost because there were so few bugs in spring. We hoped that it was just because it was so dry, but I want to do what I can to attract more pollinators here. And especially grow them around vegetables that need pollinators to create fruit, like squashes and pumpkins. Ooh, that was a lot of seeds. But I find this time of the year really exciting, where it's all about planning and dreaming. I think the overall theme for me this year is to be realistic. I'm not gonna grow vegetables that we don't eat, but I am gonna spend my time and energy on staples that we eat almost every day, and vegetables that are really good for preserving or freezing or pickling or fermenting. So follow along if you want to see more of garden videos and garden tours, because I hope there's gonna be a lot of them this year. So see you in the next video.